This is Sin Nombre Tivali Swan. My cute little fur baby. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Social Swans Collective. I'm your host, Asha Swan of Social Swans Collective. And this week we're going to be talking about fur babies. Yes, that is correct. The emotions and challenges around traveling without your fur baby, leaving them behind, all the love and care and planning that goes into it, some options for you, and what I've gone through with my different fur babies and how I travel and what I do for them. And let's be real, if you're a cat owner like me, it is a different kind of struggle for cats than it is for dogs. It's from the packing all the way to the stigmas about cats and their different personalities. And the goal of this episode is to get you feeling comfortable and feeling more secure in your decisions of leaving your fur babies behind and enjoying that vacation to the fullest without having to worry about it, and balancing the love that you have for travel and that guilt that you have from leaving your pet behind, because you shouldn't have that kind of guilt. This is your vacation. You should be able to enjoy it, not worry about it. I mean, if you dropped your kids off at the daycare, would you feel that bad? Okay, maybe you would feel a little bit bad. But I don't got this kind of problems right now. So nonetheless, I'm going to tell you what I know how to do best, which is leave my fur baby in the best hands, and what I did to make sure that I feel comfortable knowing that she was safe and secure and had what she needed so that I can enjoy my lovely time wherever I am. So let's just dive into it. I'm going to be discussing options for your fur babies, which are going to be pet sitters, trusted friends, and boarding facilities. Okay, so you've already heard a little bit more about me from episode 1, who I am, Asha Swan, and why I'm doing the podcast, and my travels, all of that. But now it's time for you to learn more about the things and the people in my life that I love most. So we're going to start with the first love of my life, Sin Nombre Tivali Swan. Yes, my cat is fancy, y'all. Okay, she has 2 first names. And well, technically it's not 2 first names. It's 1 name because it's Spanish. But she's fancy and she's loved my life. And the way we met was kind of magical. It may sound like some type of dating story, but it's not. She's just my cat. So, story. I came home from a trip. This was last May, I think it was, because I was just getting done working PGA in Kentucky. I was gone for oh no, actually it was another trip because I had to set up care for her for Kentucky. So backtrack, it had to have been sometime in April. And I'm back from a trip. I'm hanging out on my porch, just living my best life, enjoying the sun, the breeze, the good weather in Dallas. And this cat randomly just strolls her way up on the porch. At that time, I didn't even know if it was a boy or a girl. And she's just so friendly. And I knew that this cat was a little bit different because the neighbors, they had a litter a few months before. And those cats don't really mess with me. And even though I've watched them from the window and I've tried to approach them, I don't know why, I guess because they're just always there. And they are super, super cute. And they're technically kind of domesticated from my neighbor. But they don't really mess with me. And that's fine because it's like we have an understanding. You don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. We're good. But this cat was a little bit different. She came up to me. She was super sweet. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to really rub you, but I'll give you a little bit of water. Give a little water. She's purring a little bit. Day 2, she comes back. I'm making tacos in the house and I walk outside to have lunch because it's a nice day. And sometimes I like to have lunch outside for work when I'm taking a lunch break from work. And she comes back and I was like, okay, I guess I'll give you a little bit of meat. So I gave her a little bit of taco meat, and y'all know once you feed an animal, they're going to come back. I shouldn't have been surprised, right? So the next day she's trying to come back, so on and so forth. And I was like, I have no idea who you belong to, but she was just so friendly. And my friend at the time was like, are you going to keep her? And I was like, I don't know. I just got done losing a pet that previous August. I had lost my dog and I was not ready for another pet. I was enjoying living my life, not having to worry about setting up these kind of services for my pet. Waking up whenever I wanted, because having a dog, you have to, walk them multiple times a day. I was just enjoying not being a pet owner at all. I enjoyed that for a little while. And I was like, I don't think so. But she was so cute. And I was like, well, maybe she could be my outdoor cat, right? I don't see why not. I can feed her and just leave her out there and just have some food. So people have outdoor cats. I mean, the neighbors have outdoor cats, right? They just feed them and let them do their own thing. But she started getting a little crazy in terms of trying to get in the house. I would work out with like a screen mesh in front of the door. And she tried to like get in the house. She was smart. She knew how to just like walk through the mesh. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You probably have fleas and God knows what else. Like, you can't be walking around in my house, yo. Like, I have no idea what you have. So my friend was like, why don't you try to see if you can handle her? And I was like, handle her? He's like, yeah, like give her a bath. Do you know, hearing the words, give a cat a bath? I was like, this is like willingly giving my life to the Lord. I was like, I just don't know if this is a good idea. But she was so sweet. She let me pick her up. And this cat let me give her a bath. I was like, that's the only way you're going to start walking in this house. She let me give her a bath. And at that point, I was like, I think she might be my cat. I have no idea. So I did what any person would do if I guess they were a good person. I don't know. It does make you a bad person. But I posted her online to see if anyone wanted to claim her. And I went to the vet to see if she was chipped. No one claimed her. When I went to the vet, they said that she wasn't chipped. And I told them if she wasn't chipped, then I would want to probably get her shots. So when they came back and told me that she wasn't chipped and that it was a girl, they're like, you are a proud owner of a baby girl cat. And she's about a year old. And I was like, yay! So that's how Sin Nombre and I met. Her name? Well, I didn't want to get too attached to her. So I called her Sin Nombre, which is sin without nombre, name, without a name. So her name was nameless for a long time. I just called her nameless. And I wanted to be cute with it without actually just saying the word nameless. So I made it Spanish because it sounds a little bit nicer, I guess. Well, to those who don't know Spanish. So I called her Sin Nombre. And naturally, my last name is Swan. So I called her Swan. And my friend was saying that he had a good name for her middle name. It was like Tivali. And apparently Tivali was supposed to be one of Cleopatra's favorite cats. So it was only fitting that I'm the queen, she's the princess, and therefore her name is Tivali, or her middle name. So Sin Nombre Tivali Swan. I thought it flowed very well. And so now I just call her Sin. So when I call her, I'm just like, Sin, and she loves it. So anyway, some people were like, you can't name your cat nameless, but I can do whatever the heck I want to do. And so therefore I did. Don't box me in. You can't do it. I won't let you. So that's how Sin Nombre Tivali Swan came to be. So when I originally got Sin, I already had a trip coming up in like the next few weeks. So I had to schedule care for her. And when I would schedule care for my dog before he passed, it was a little bit easier. Like Charlie, he was a lap dog. He was a Chihuahua Pomeranian mix, never weighed more than like 8 to 10 pounds, depending on if he ate or pooped that day. And everyone loved him. It was just so easy. Everyone loves dogs. Everyone loves little small dogs. And he was just like a cuddle monster. So everyone wanted to just like offer to take care of him. I don't think I ever had to pay for care for him really ever. Like I always had a friend or a family member in California that wanted to take care of him. And that was always a great option for me. But moving out to Dallas, I'm still building my community. And therefore, when I first needed care for Sin, I didn't have that. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have friends or family. I personally am not a huge fan of boarding facilities. So you have options, right? You have your pet sitters, you have your trusted friends and family, and then you have your boarding facilities. I have never really done, actually, no, with Charlie one time, I think we did a boarding facility. I did one. However, and they were cool. They were nice and all that. But I don't want, a lot of the boarding facilities will have the dogs or the cats, especially the cats, of course, but the dogs in a cage for most of the day. And then they will take the dogs out for probably like an hour or maybe two, or you have to pay for extra time for the dogs to be out of the cage. It's very rare that you find a boarding facility where the dogs are just out most of the day and then they only go back inside for the evening or for their meals. So I think that if you're going to go the boarding facility route, then, ask those questions and make sure that what their protocol is. But nonetheless, so this time around with Sin, I was like, I need to find care for her. Like, what are my options? Okay, I can get a pet sitter. I don't really have a trusted friend out here, and I don't think I want to use a boarding facility, you know? So I looked into those apps, the Rover app. A lot of people have told me about the app and they've had good experiences with the app. But if you're anything like me and grew up in a home like mine, you don't let strangers in your house, especially when you're gone. Like, that's just not what we do, especially like the Black community. We're like, what? Like, let somebody just walk in my house, walk, quote, my dog, or quote, take care of my cat and leave and trust them not to take anything. I just don't know. Like, I didn't have too many options, right? I was like, my trip is coming up. What am I going to do? Take her with me? I mean, I could, but I was going to be working like 14-hour days. And I just knew that she needed a different type of care. And so I went ahead and signed up for Rover. It was my first time ever using them. And I really enjoyed the experience. When I set up my account, they, have you set up your profile for your pet. So I went ahead and did that with her. They ask you about shots and any kind of medications. Like, you are allowed to add, obviously the basics is what they need, but then you can add as much information as you want. Like, I was able to, put the feeding schedule in there, what her needs were for medication at the time, because I got her, spayed and all of that. And she needed someone that was going to make sure that she wasn't scratching at her stitches. And you can choose if you want someone to just come in every day or if you want someone to do like a home stay. And I work from home again, and I'm always here. Like, she's used to having someone around, right? Like, when you're kind of making these decisions, you have to think about what your pet is used to, right? You have to think about, okay, like, are you there all the time? Are they going to have separation anxiety? What is their medicine care going to look like? Like, how often, how frequently do I need someone to come in? So these are all things that you have to think about when it comes down to, planning the care for your pet. And of course, this is for everyone. This is not just cats or dogs. I mean, you can have a hamster, you can have a bird, whatever it is. These are all the fur babies. They're all created equal. So after I created my account on Rover and I set everything up for her, I went ahead and started my search for someone that would take care of her and what my options were with Rover. So I found a couple people that I liked, and I decided to reach out to them. It was really easy. You could reach out to one person at a time, or you could reach out to multiple people at a time with your dates. And I ran across a couple of young ladies that would work well for Sin. They were in my price range. Some of the sitters, they will range from about like $15 all the way up to like $50, $60. Some of them can get a little bit crazy when it comes down to their prices. However, some of them might be worth it. But for me, my sweet spot is usually between like $20 to $35, a day for them to come in. And it can range between like 30-minute visits or an hour visit and more. And it also depends on what you need them to do. So I set up an appointment. It's really cool because I didn't even know exactly how it worked. But so the woman reached back out and said that she was available and when could she set up a time to, meet Sin. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I would love for you to meet her so that you can get a vibe of who she is and her personality and see if this is for you. So we set up a time. She came over, and this is with both her sitters. I wanted to rotate between two different sitters because when I'm gone for long periods of time, I like to have someone come in every other day to check in on her. And then sometimes I'll have, like, if I'm going for like multiple weeks, 1 week will be like check-ins, 1 week will be someone staying the whole time, like in my house. And then the last week will be back to, the check-ins. So she came in, she got a chance to see Sin, give her some love, and she looked around, the house just to like know where everything is. I got her familiarized of like where she would be, where everything is, her food, her treats, her medications at the time. Like I said, she got spayed or neutered, whatever. And so I wanted to make sure that the woman knew where everything was. So I think it was a really great way to feel comfortable and like actually meet the person. You don't really know them, of course. Like, you can only gauge so much from a person from the first interaction. However, first impressions do still mean a lot. You can get an idea if they're professional or not just by from how they dress and how they speak and how they're interacting with you. Is this a person that you would feel comfortable having a key to your house or the code to your house in my situation, because I have a lockbox. So, I just wanted to make sure that she was good. And I like the fact that she offered that. And it was a free, I guess you can maybe call it a consultation if you want, but it was a free walkthrough for her to come and do that. So I was like, that's awesome. So after we set everything up and everything's good in her profile, the day comes where I had to say goodbye. And saying goodbye to my little fur baby is very hard to do because, as I mentioned, we're together with each other all the time while I'm working. So leaving her behind, I'm like, I don't want to stress her out and I don't want to stress myself out. But again, that's where the prep comes in, right? You want to make sure that you're planning ahead of time for you and for your sitter or whoever you're leaving them with, whatever option. And so you want to make sure that they understand their feeding schedule, their playtime, their check-ins. You want to make sure that everything is connected the way it should be. For Sin, she has an automatic feeder and she has a water fountain that holds, I think, like 6 quarts of water. So you don't really have to refill that often. And usually when the sitter comes, they don't have to worry about her food either. I wanted them to focus just on giving her love, scooping that poop, giving her some treats, and making sure that she was happy. Like, that was my goal for myself. For some people, you may not have an option for an auto feeder. So you want them to do the feeding and the playtime and all of that, everything included. But for me, I wanted to set them up to where that 10 minutes or whatever they would take, feeding her and refilling water and cleaning water bowls and things like that. I just wanted them to focus on my baby girl. That's all I wanted them to do, was focus on her. So the time came where I left. I usually like to schedule the sitter to come the next day. So with cats, it's a little bit easier. Sometimes you can get away with leaving them alone for some people 2-3 days. I think it just depends on your litter situation. It depends on, what the daily routine is for them. So Sin, she's very, really independent. So I like to make sure that the day I leave, I've scooped her poop. She's good to go in her water, her food. She has some toys out, some treats, and the person can come in the next day and do what they need to do. I'm usually flexible with the time as well. So they come in, they do exactly what I said. They play, they feed her, they give her, whatever they need. And some of them even allowed her to go outside. So another thing, Sin, because she is originally an outdoor cat, I didn't want to completely take that from her. I feel like she has an adventurous, wild side, just like her mama. And I wasn't trying to completely tame that. She's domesticated now and she sleeps inside. She's inside of the house most of the time. But Sin thinks that she's still an outdoor cat sometimes, or a dog. I like to say she's my little cat dog, because she will wait by the door and sometimes she'll cry to go outside. It's the funniest thing to me. It's super cute. She loves to go outside. So I still allow her to go outside. And that's one of the things that sometimes I feel bad about when I leave personally, is I let her out almost every day when I'm working. Like, she'll go and have a good time outside for an hour or two, and then she'll come back inside and eat and take a nap. And so when I'm away, she doesn't always have the opportunity to go outside because it makes the sitter feel a little nervous about letting her out and not being able to get her back. And rightfully so. I completely understand that, especially if they only have a certain amount of time to be there. If I've scheduled a 30-minute visit versus an hour, that's probably not enough time for Sin to be outside and be gone, and they come back in the time frame that they need, right? So it just depends, but most of the time it kind of prevents her from being able to go outside. So I do feel bad about that. But again, you have to find the balance in your travels and not feeling bad about taking time for yourself. It's important to go and have those adventures. And as much as we love our pets and we want to shower them with love and make sure that they have the same comforts that they had when we were there, they're still a pet. You know, I hate to say it, but they're still a pet. I love her to death, but she's still my pet. So she has to do what I told her to do. So the woman who was taking care of Sin, like I said, she came in, she did everything she needed to do, and she'd leave. And it's cool because she would also send me photos each time that she would come and take care of her. And so that was really nice for me to be able to see my little baby, actually having fun and getting the attention that she needs. I won't lie, it makes me feel better about knowing that they actually arrived and, I didn't just pay them for no reason. That's probably a fear that some people have, right? Like, oh, I'm going to pay them and they're either going to rob me or they're probably not going to actually really show up and just take the money. These are all fears that I had, but I can say that I've never had anything missing. I feel very comfortable with the service. It was very professional. I received updates, and although I do have a video camera on her feeder, because that's also just for me, especially on longer trips. Like, I like to spy on my little cutie when she's eating. Like, I get a little alert every time she's about to be fed or like the feeder goes off and I see her little head popping, up. And so I keep that in the living room for her, so that I can see her. And it's just nice to know that she's safe and she's still alive, like, it's just important to me. So I will also actually drop the auto feeder that I have for her in the description. I love it. It alerts me if it's ever offline and if something's wrong with it. So I have had to, do that once, probably maybe twice, where the sitter, when they come in, I'm like, oh, could you check the feeder and make sure that it's good to go? But you can also put it on battery. So if for some reason it goes offline through Wi-Fi, you can also have the backup with the batteries, which is nice. So back to Rover though, I think it was a great service. I use it. I like to have multiple people that I work with and I can call, because if one person is busy, then I have another person that I can trust. And I'm open to different, people coming into the home, but me personally, I only like to have women in the house. I don't know why, it's just more of a comfort level for me. So I usually try to hire a woman, not saying that they can't do just as much damage in terms of robbing someone as a man, I guess. However, I don't know, I just feel more comfortable having a woman around my things and, my personal items and, I don't know, my clothing and, my undergarments and stuff like that. So that's just me personally, but I'm sure it's fine if you have a man as well. It's just a personal preference, just like a doctor or something. Maybe not that extreme, but that's how I feel about it. It's my preference and you can have your preference. So Rover, I felt like, was a really good option. It was reasonably priced. They came on time. If they were late for some reason, they, communicate with me. They send photos. I've had my sitter, my Rover sitter before, go above and beyond for me. Like, my cat, at some point, I guess I got worms out of nowhere while I was away for the Olympics last year in France. And I'm like on the phone, like, what's going on? And she was able to take her to the vet for me. And of course I tipped her out and I made sure that I paid for her Uber. But it was just kind of crazy to me that happened while I was away. And those are the things that we can't necessarily plan for. However, her vet information was in the profile, which helped a lot. I called the vet in advance and let them know that she was on the way and what the plan was. And, I reassured her that they knew that she was coming. She did what she had to do. They went back to the house. She got the medication. And before I even got back home, everything was done. Like my cat was even done with her medication by that time. And everything just was like normal. Like nothing happened when I got back. So some of these sitters will go above and beyond for you to do the right thing and make sure that your pets are taken care of. So I wouldn't be fearful of it. And if they do take care of you, then make sure you take care of them as well. I come from a hospitality industry. I'm in it now. And I really believe in like tipping your, barbers and valets and bartenders. And this is the same for Rover. Like I tip my Rover people because I feel like they always do a wonderful job for me. So Rover, really good option. I never thought that that would be an option for me, but I find that it's really reliable and I don't feel bad about necessarily asking them to do it, obviously, because that's their job. I feel like the pros of that is that you don't have to worry about burdening a family or a friend, with asking them if they can take care of your pet. You just know that this is their job. They're going to do it right. It's through the platform. So if anything does go wrong, you have, a means to reach out to somebody and file a complaint if you need to. However, I've never had to do that. And I've been very lucky that way. I haven't really heard of anyone needing to do that. So I would give Rover I would say like a 10 out of 10 right now because I was able to find multiple people and it's been very reliable and successful for me. And if I need something last minute, I can usually find somebody. I may have to find a premium, like pay a premium for it if I want to do something last minute because I have done spontaneous trips. But, that's just kind of like supply and demand, right? You can't really do too much about that. So and of course, for holidays, usually the price will go up a little bit around the holidays. So book in advance and communicate effectively with your sitters. What I also like about the Rover option is the fact that I don't have to move anything for her, right? I don't have to pack anything up for her. It could be a bit of a pain to have to do that. It's a little bit more involved than having to pack up everything for a dog versus a cat. Cons of Rover, of course, you have now given someone access to your home. So, if you're very particular about that, which I completely get that, then, maybe it's not the right option for you. However, like I said, it worked out for me, especially because I have a keypad on my door versus like an actual key. So I don't have to worry about anyone like making any copies or anything. And I can always ask the owner to change the code for me. So it's a little bit easier. Maybe that's something that you can do as well. Like if you have an option to install like a keypad for your home, then perhaps that makes it easier for your person to be able to get in and out. And you don't have to worry about, any additional keys or anything like that. These are valid, reasons why you wouldn't want someone in your home. Another thing in terms of the experience for the person, like the stay in, like I did have someone multiple times stay for a week actually in my house, like, because again, I want Sin to have the same type of love and attention that I give her when I'm here working full time. And she is a very affectionate cat. Like I've never known a cat to be as affectionate as she is. She loves love. She's in your face. She doesn't have mood swings like how some cats do. She is very just happy and playful and just wants to snuggle all the time. I'm surprised she's not bigger than what she is. I guess because she goes outside and plays, she gets a little bit of exercise. But again, it works out for us. I don't know if I have any links or not for a code off or any type of discount for first timers, but I will check and see. And if so, I'll drop it in the description for you guys. Okay. So your next option, friends and family. You have your pros and cons for that as well, right? For your trusted friends and family, it's cool because odds are they probably won't charge you for it, or they will charge you cheaper than what a Rover person or a boarding facility would cost. I would say in terms of costing, it would be like friends and family is the cheapest, then probably Rover. You can find like that good middle ground, and then the boarding facilities, right? That's usually the price kind of like flow. So with friends and family, like I said, it's cool. They probably won't charge you anything at all or very little. You know that they're taken care of because it's your friends and family. Like they're going to probably try to do the best that they can to take care of them. And odds are your fur baby is also familiar with them already, right? They don't have to get used to this new person or this new group of people if it's a family that you're leaving them with. So I would say that that's like a really huge plus of not having to worry about that. I would say the cons of that is it's not their job, right? So you don't want to feel like you're burdening anyone with something that is usually your job. And I feel like sometimes, especially for my last minute trips, I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't want to ask last minute, or I don't want this to be a huge thing, or I don't want them to think that I'm always asking them over and over and over again, which I really kind of want to, right? Because I would prefer them be with friends, like your fur baby, probably with your friends and family versus someone that they don't know. So that's like a huge, the pros and the cons of that. I would say for me, a con of also sending Sin with friends and family is, again, there's a huge difference between cats and dogs. Like with dogs, you can pack the food, the treats, a leash, and you're done, right? For her, it's not just the food, it's not just the treats and the toys. I also have to pack her litter box and her litter. Like that alone, I feel like is another like situation. So maybe it's not as much as I'm making it seem, because we did do that one time over the last, when was this? Oh, actually, I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was over the winter holiday is when I had someone, a friend of mine, take care of her. And that was a really great experience. Sin kind of fell right into it and she loved being away. Like I said, she's a little explorer. And from what I could tell, based off of the photos I was receiving and the feedback I was getting from my friends, she adjusted really well. Apparently, cats don't really do too well in other environments like dogs do. Like they prefer to be in the same environments. Dogs like to get out and, explore a little bit more. So I was a little bit nervous about her being in a new home, and she didn't really eat too much the first day, or she was eating nothing but soft food, but I think she was just trying to pull one over. You know what I mean? How your dogs and cats, they know when they can get away with eating all the soft food and the treats when they're with your friends and your family. I think she was doing one of those moves. And then of course, when she ran out of soft food, she ate her hard food. So she's a trip. So that worked out pretty well, actually. And it wasn't like as much stuff to pack, I guess, but it was a little bit more than what I had to do when I had Charlie and I had my dog. So that is a pro and a con of like having friends take care of your pets. Boarding facilities. I kind of already dived into it a little bit before. With boarding facilities, again, the pros can be like, it's their job. Like they know exactly what they're doing. They probably have a vet on site if something goes wrong. They have a flow. Your dogs can interact with other dogs if you're okay with that, or if they're used to going to dog parks. But that's cool. They get to interact and have playtime. I would say that the cons would be the price range usually is really expensive. The time frames, like you have to make sure that you're picking them up or dropping them off during certain time frames, right? Like, so if you have a flight that comes in really late, odds are you're going to have to pay for another night because you can't get to your pet in time before the facility closes. So you have to keep that in mind. The costing of it, like I said, sometimes it's a little bit more expensive than having your friends or family or a Rover person come in real quick and do what they need to do and leave. Another con could also be that the boarding facility is a little bit further away. Like I have never had to do one in Dallas before, but I know some places the facilities are just a little bit further away. Some places they are just boarding facilities. Other places are like vets that do boarding. So you can look into those different options. Like some vets will also offer boarding. But again, now you're dealing with a situation where they're in a kennel for most of the time. And I don't know how much time they're spending like really going outside. So if you're looking for more of an experience where your dogs or your pets who get outside time can still enjoy that outside time, I would look into maybe the pet sitter option because at least they will take them out a little bit more. So now you have your options: Rover or a like service, your friends and family, or boarding facility, right? And then we also kind of touched very briefly on the routines and setting up a schedule for them and making sure that whoever you're leaving them with knows it, right? The planning aspect of it, making sure that they have all their needs met and set for them, pack it all up for them. If you can take that blanket, that favorite thing. Oh yeah, that's another thing I suggest. If you're afraid a little bit about separation anxiety, maybe pack something that reminds them of you. Sometimes I'll like to leave a blanket or a shirt with Sin. Well, when she's in the house, everything is us, right? But if you have something that you want to leave with them that will remind you of their scent, that can also ease their, anxiety and their trouble as well. So making sure that you have a list of all the things that you want for them, that you have a very detailed schedule for whoever's taking care of them, their meals, their playtime, their check-ins. And then, of course, like I said, going over that technology aspect as well. If you have the option to do pet cameras or video cameras or automatic feeders and water fountains for them, like these are the things that are going to make it easier for you, make it easier for them, and make it easier for the people that are taking care of your loved ones. Now it's time to enjoy that trip, yo. Yeah. You got that pet out your life right now for a few days or a week. Now it's time to enjoy it. It's no point in sitting on the plane crying about your cat at home. That's not a good look, y'all. That's not a good look. We understand you love your pet, but you deserve that vacation. You earned it, you paid for it. So now enjoy it. And understanding that it's okay to take a trip without your pet. You can also choose the option of taking your pet with you. I've flown with my pet twice before when I had my dog, and it was a great experience, but I was also staying with a friend of mine. I was not, at a hotel or an Airbnb or something like that. So just know that it's okay to take that trip and leave your loved one behind. You deserve that. Ways that you can ease the emotional burden of leaving your pet behind. Staying busy. Again, you're on vacation, whether it's going to the beach or doing an activity, like stay busy. You can also check in, ask for updates. If for some reason you're not getting as many updates as you'd like, make it very clear to your sitter that you'd like more. A lot of times they'd be happy to send you that video or that photo. Just ask for it. If you want more, then just ask for that. And then just having trust in your decisions and the chosen care system that you've set up for them. Like, you have to feel comfortable knowing that you did the best that you could and that they're in good hands and that they will be fine when you get back. Okay? It's okay. You guys will be reunited very soon, and it will feel very special when you finally embrace your little fur baby again. You'll be very happy for it that you took a break from that as well. It's nice to have a break, not waking up every morning or, having to walk your dog at night, right? Like, it's a nice little break. It's like getting a break away from, like I said, your kids or something, right? Like, just the responsibility. Let it all go. For however long you're there, just let it go. Stay present in your journey while keeping peace of mind that your pet is good to go, okay? And if you want, you can even find pet-friendly spots, like I mentioned earlier. For some reason, you just really can't let go of your fur baby during your time. There are a lot of pet-friendly hotels, Airbnbs that you can take advantage of. And, you may have to pay a little bit of an extra fee, whether it's a nightly fee or just like a deposit fee. They will allow you to do that. So if you really just can't let go, then that is an option for you as well. There's nothing wrong with that. You have your options. Take them with you or not, that's on you. But this episode is for letting them go, okay? So that you can fully enjoy that trip and not have to worry about it. Because some places will say that you can have a pet, but only when they're attended by the owner. So where does that leave you? You can only go to places and activities where your dog or, your pet can be. So, do you really want to limit yourself when you're out? That's a personal choice. And if you're feeling really bad about leaving them behind, you can always find something for them while you're on your trip. A cute little, token of, hey, I'm sorry I left you behind. Another blanket, another toy, something like that, they can play with maybe when they get back. So it'll remind you of them. It'll make you feel like you did something special. And like I mentioned before, it'll make the reunion that much sweeter. So recapping the key points: knowing your options for care, creating a plan for your fur baby, setting up the technology that you need, and finding peace in your decisions so that you can find a happy balance between having a good trip and the guilt of leaving them behind. Don't feel guilty. You can do this and you can have a great time. And it's a vacation for them as well, right? Yeah. Hopefully you found some value in this topic and some of the tips that I'm giving you today. And it encourages you to take that next trip and not worry about the burdens and the things and responsibilities that you have behind. Don't let that get in the way of your travel plans and the happiness and the joy that you can gain from traveling. Don't let this be the thing holding you back. I will drop the Rover link below in the description. I will also drop the feeder that I have for my cat and the water fountain for her. I may have some options for dogs. If I do, I will throw that in there as well. But I'm a cat owner now. I have been converted. So I am going to make sure that I drop those in there for you. Thank you for listening in to this episode of Social Swans Collective, and I look forward to hosting you on the next episode. Have a good evening, y'all. Bye.